one way where we go one way, and that's west. Bit jerky all of a sudden. Alrighty, so usual. This is done on a phone. You might hear clawing and scratching noises to make certain maneuvers happen. Otherwise, it's held at a wide stance to prevent that, but it comes at the cost of precision, such as walking into trees, buildings, and pits of death. And this is how we're starting. Alrighty, so this is how we're starting. Anyway, it's Thursday. Break. And first break was Mets. The second break, it was, which is now, it's raining. And lunch is very likely to rain. Because there's a big hurricane out in the tropics that sucking in some of the outer bands of other rain systems and kind of wrecking the weather here. Oh, we landed on something soft. And we stopped every now and then like that so we could land safely like we have just done. And we are pressing jump, not swinging swords. I do not like going through jungles because we get the dark sections where bad things can... Okay, micro jumping, especially in the jungle, not a good thing. Like this part here. Alright, I like to move. Especially here. Okay, we got a gap there. Nice jump. Although actually it did try. And in the boat. So I think, yeah, this and lunch will be ruined, and Friday, it's a question mark about the beginning, because it's supposed to be that this storm will pass on by around Friday morning or so. It would be nice if this sand was leading to a desert. That's where all the good stuff is. And we kind of ended at we went backwards a little bit, but we ended next to a I was talking, then I noticed the gap there, and we're micro jumping again, which we don't want. Alright, is movement a thing? Break. Eat first. Yeah, I am not a fan of the thick jungles. I mean, in a regular game it might be okay, but not in this. Alright, that one there. Can we reach that? Yes, we can. Let's see if jump button will do jump. Was that a stupid move? It would have hurt, but it was okay. and we can move the player. Alright, I see regular trees now, so that's good. It's a little dark in the regular tree area. It's okay. The only area that gets really dark during the day, and it's not a problem, besides these, which is rare, although I think things still happen under these, but generally they're escapable, but definitely for sure are the mangroves. The biome on its own is an obstacle. But at least you know that monsters aren't going to spawn if it's too dark under normal lighting. Oh, yeah. And missed the jump button there. I went a little too far there. I was going to jump on that tree and then... Alright, this is worth doing. This way, and part I hate is when we have these little breaks. This is where Caves and Cliffs kind of brought things back in not a good way as to how the generation used to be, where the rivers are broken up. Although not as bad as when they started fixing the terrain more or less, and we can move. Break. How about the sword? How about moving the player? Well, it could be worse. It could be... I was going to say it could be regular jungle. I mean, the bamboo sticks are bad enough, but that's more or less an issue of it hiding pits of death that we could fall in. Alright, put the boat in and sail away again. Alright, so the jungles haven't been too bad. Although it'd be nice if, like I said, if it turned into a desert, because that's where all the good loot is, if it decides to spawn. I'm just trying to get away from the jungle. Yeah, keep moving. There you go. Looks like there isn't a way around it, but over here it's not anywhere near as thick. And okay, that jump didn't work. And over here. And we can move the player. So place a bed here and a cave to... Alright, gonna get rid of this junk and sleep. So in this particular episode, we will reach the 70% mark. When we reach 8,088,608, we are 70% of the way through the last million traversable blocks. Which also means we're literally just, and I'm using that in quotes here, in normal play it's not just. But what we're doing, yeah, we can say just. Anyway, we're just a mere 300,000 blocks away at that point. It will not happen in this segment, but it might in the next one, during the lunch break, which likely will get rained out. And of course the breaks, try not to go over, but I only do if I can't find a safe enough place to stop. Alright, a little more this way. And we got a village. We could definitely use one of those. Until we get close enough. Yeah, because I'm trying to gain some distance while we're at it. Alright, I took it a little too far. There we go. Alright, still a little too far. Yeah, we could go backwards a little bit, but if it means we ultimately go forward in better shape, that's a good thing. Coal, yeah, we're alright with that. Nice jump. Glad the jump button didn't work. Surprise, surprise. Not yet. When we reach the border, we can start doing farming and things like that. If we have a farmer, yeah, these kind of villages, we generally don't get those. We can move the player. And I think we're pretty close at this point. 2 more. That will help us a little bit. Bundles, that again, when we get closer to where we're going. Well, you guys are way out there. Need 2 more. There's one of them. And whoa, we're on a half block. We got lucky there. I mean, it wouldn't have hurt anything. It would just have been an annoying thing. Alright, it would have been nice if we can move the player. That's also nice. Alright, so yeah, no farmers. I know I could have grabbed some of those bales of hay and made more food, but I'm just going to do this right now. I know it's still short of goal, but that's okay. Alright, we're getting to a point that break is about over, so get to a safe point here. And we can move the player. And we can jump instead of swinging swords. Alright. And we do this because if we're not on an exact half block increment, it's possible that we will fall through the world and die upon reload. Otherwise, we put ourselves in a boat because we're in something bigger than a block, or we stop immediately after sleep but not move in any coordinate outside of looking around. Those are the two things that will keep us safe. We're in the former, and likely lunch is going to be ruined, so possibly see you then. We're back. Lunch has been rained out. Although weather.com says it's cloudy, there's a little bit of cloudy falling from the sky. Oh, we actually made that. Of course, we can't make any of this. Alrighty, so we want, no, I'm gonna go down here, yep. But we want to be up against this so we can get a running jump, maybe make it to there. Oh, we just barely did. And micro jumping because that's exactly what we don't need, so that's what we do. Minimal impact, but still. Nice jump. Well, actually, that's okay, because take off from there, and not ideal, but it might work. We're jumping. In case it probably would have helped if I hit the button. All sorts of disconnected islands. Oh, village. Well, I don't know how much of a help it'll be, but you never know till we take a look. Actually, let's head down a little bit. Yep, jumping. That time we can't say that we missed it. We hit it square on. Alright, do we have any farmers here? You are not a farmer. We also have plenty of beds, so. Then again, we have the sun setting, so. Alright, so useless buildings. Okay, move the player. And useless building. We know there's some buildings that aren't. much better. Gonna wake you up. And alright, just before he snuck back in. Alright, so we're okay now. We just need to exit. Not much there, but enough to get the job done. Alright, there's a chance we could hit the 80 kilometer block. Although it might be a bit of a stretch, because it's only less than 30 minutes for the break, because unlike the other breaks, this is unpaid, so every minute that we lose, that's a minute gone from my paycheck. Granted, we are allowed to make up the difference, but the difference minutes literally make for the commute home. We almost made that. At least it jumped. Now let's see if we got a smithy in here, because if there is a farmer we can trade away for one bit of bread, that'll... Okay, that's a useless building. Yeah, we're not gonna cut through that way. And I do see a farmer right there. And there's our even 64. And we're good there. Ooh, cannot go that way. Alright, nothing here. Nothing there. Thought I saw stuff up here. Nope, just the... Oh, okay, there's another building. Alright, nothing really there. I mean, we got what we needed. So as I said, maybe... I know every time I say maybe, it usually winds up being one extreme or the other, but maybe tomorrow the first break could be rained out. From what I'm reading, the rain's supposed to stop even before then. So the next time you see this, it may be the washer-dryer phase. I don't like what I see there. Yeah, that's filling it. I'd rather take a path of resistance if I can avoid the roof forest. Well, that didn't go right. Break it. Alright, I don't like what I see. Alright, we are safe if this jump goes wrong, because it's into water. Actually, what I want to do is, there we go. Jump. The stutter didn't help, but we made it anyway. Jump. Oh, we made that too. Go. Oh, I guess we're not going to go. I'm going to place obstacles now that you've successfully managed to be able to make a jump that made life easier. So now let's make everything difficult. And continuing on. At the blistering rate of precision error speed. And we did stop. Because I wanted to see what way is actually easier. Or which way we ultimately have to go. That's more of the answer than anything else. Actually, I wanted that one. Place. Yeah, I mean, we definitely should have been able to have made that, which we did. Break. See, and that's why using trees can be advantageous, and we can move the player. We might have to stop abruptly, and we did. And we have to go backwards a little bit more, a little bit more. One step, there we go. That still looks like a problem. All right, so let's see. Yeah, that was a death hole. We narrowly escaped a death hole, which is good. And we got a village over there. Oh, no, that's not a village. That's a pillager outpost. At this distance, avoid. They can break the 5 block per second barrier. So, yeah. Definitely a miss. I know that the river goes the opposite direction, but this is closer to where we want to go. Staying plenty far away from that thing. Boy, that jump was important because once again, blind leap of stupidity. And speaking of that, I can see, therefore I am not going to go. Yeah, and we can move the player. Now just move the player a little more. That hole would have hurt. Jumping. You know what? This is kind of a okay spot, I guess. May not be the most ideal. Just change the colors up a little bit to be all nice and fancy. And of course, we're just hitting this bed more frequently because we are undercover, which means the zero light level comes sooner in some spots. Trying to avoid bad things. I hit duck ever so quickly. That's what that was. Wouldn't work because we can't move fast enough. We duck, but we couldn't move. All right. Ooh, big drop. And there we go. No. These areas are slightly more annoying just for the leaf cover and how far they reach out. But it's still, compared to a lot of other things that could impede and annoy, it's not the biggest thing because we can always punch our way through. And jump. Failed to make the jump. Alright, so yeah, we gotta keep an eye on the clock. Got another sleep coming and then yep. Problem is, at this distance, the player may not be able to knock down those bushes that are, that hurt us. Here we go. Although lakes and rivers, I know lakes and rivers can go both ways, but generally they're fully frozen. And that. This winter biome tends to be okay. It's like the plains, except it's covered in snow. And we can move. And how did I think that if I did that, I would just land right in front of a block? And that's exactly what happened. And I don't remember hitting jump, but if it happened, I see icebergs, which used to be fun, but they had to patch it to be just like Java Edition, where it's not continuous. There's parts of the water that are frozen, parts that aren't. The super fast zone's no longer a thing. Again, unless it's a river or a lake, those are still fast zones. Not where the icebergs are. Well, we were just trying to get there. Because we're almost at the 80-80. No, that's exactly where I didn't want you to go. Here, on the other hand, and over we go. And there we are. We're at 80-80. Just barely. Yes, I believe that the mountains will actually be faster. Eat the food. And here's where that's why we keep the boots close to the boot inventory slot on the player. And I mean, this is solid snow, but there's a chance that we're going to hit something that isn't. And upon, quick look is not easy to distinguish. No. Yeah, there we go. We've ran into some of that stuff. And you just saw a bunny just plunge itself into the world and die. Oh, wow, talk about tight ropes. That was a nice set of jumps. I see a way out this way. I just want to know if there's an out that way. Now, this way is a little easier. Boy, it's dead quiet all of a sudden. And usually there's meetings and what have not, conferences. It's just dead silent right now. And we got a few more minutes. No, not this. Over the 256 mark, which, well, as I've said before, okay, that would have been a death hole. Anyway, ooh, igloo. Now you can get there, I think. You can jump. Oh, there it is. All right, we're getting pretty close to the end of the day. You know what? At this point, I'm just going to call it a segment when we sleep. So, yeah, I mean, lunch is pretty much over. So I'm going to do that and just call it good once we take a sleep here, because it is getting dark. Yeah, it's definitely taking enough time for the sun to set, since we can't really see it. There we go. Good night, everybody. Yeah, I'll just do that. That was an interesting position for the goat to start this video in. Anyway, welcome to One Way, where we go one way, and that's west. So, we'll start with the usual banter. This is done on a phone. You might hear clawing and scratching noises to make certain maneuvers happen. Otherwise, it's held at a wide stance to prevent that from happening, but it comes at the cost of some precision, like walking into trees, buildings, and pits of death. We don't need to go that far up. So we're in a little bit of a difficult predicament. We can move the player. Wait a minute. I think we've actually, yeah, see, I lost track. This is a continuation. We're not, starting. Yeah, once again, I forget to check the, video files to be sure, because, yeah, there was a day that I, just remembered there was a day that, the weather stunk, and 2 of the 3 breaks were rained out. And we'll restock for some reason. And this is not good. This is a time where sneaky sneak is a good thing. Alright, we need to eat some food. Actually, let's anything to break that, and then we'll just get rid of the granite when we get low enough. So, alright, we actually don't have room for it. So that's good. Place. And then you place it so I can't reach it. I'm trying to strategically place that so we can suddenly just not move. There we go. That's not the correct position. There we go. Not the correct place, not the correct position. because we know I can't talk anyway. So it's washer dryer phase. Totally forgetting that, yeah, we already did a couple of pieces prior to getting here. In fact, we got to the 80 kilometer block. So in a little more than 7,000 blocks, we will officially be 70% of the way through the last million traversable blocks. We want to go that way? I don't know. Polar bear over there, but we got chest boat, so it can't climb and kill us if it's protecting its young. Alright, that driving into the wall was intentional, so we didn't wind up once again in the middle of a small broken section of ice. I think placing it there would be better. Oh, and I can still reach it. Get it, get it. Good. Get it before it reaches the bottom. Because if it reached the bottom, there's no telling if the boat would fall through the world or not. Alright, are we going to go in a direction that goes between that and that? Or are we going to fall in? Hey, we went in between. And into the boat. Into the water. Yeah, we're in the boat already. Alright, now we're getting to the point that it turns into a river, so we have some solid ice. Yeah, there's a little bit of breaking in there. We got by it. We can turn. Okay, good. Made it through that, which is good. Got by that, which is good. And, well, hey, we made some... Yeah, imagine that. I want to drop in. Nope. Fixed our position a little bit, a little more straight on, and I did notice we were at a slight, our view against our boat was at a slight angle, which is just enough to skew things if we're going for fine details. The more straight on, the more the steering is more accurate. See, this is where I don't mind the icebergs when it's completely not freezing over the ocean. That's a weird snow pile on that one that we just passed to the left. These are getting a bit big. we see land. Under this, yep. Keep going. Want to be with the land. We don't have to be on it. We just want to be next to it if we can. As we need to be able to get on something. Okay, a little more. That was a little too much more. Still works. Yeah, now we're next to land, which is what we needed in order to continue on. Nope, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Of course, I could have just... No, I need one more bounce. There we go. I could have just done that. And over. Break. How are we doing on the... Yeah, we're doing okay, but... Through the world it goes. Oh, village. So we have not seen, or I haven't. And we got a smithy right here. Good, and that helps. Could use diamonds. How are we on beds? Just need one. And we can move the player. Nothing. I don't see a building there, but I see one here. I have to see more than one. Another useless building. I think this is a useless building. Boy, they're full of useless buildings. Hey, at least that. It appears to be everything. Alright. Okay, we need to move, so go that way a little bit. So we can go this way a little bit more. Yeah, that was bad. Place. Place. Move the player. my thumb is way off. There we go. And we gotta climb a mountain regardless. I said the ones that are where the plains are, they generally are easier to climb. And there's a village all the way up there, but we have to climb the mountain anyway, so we'll see. Actually, I need to go a little more this way, where it's a little easier to climb it. Jumping. Oh, for a minute I thought, strange to have a lava lake up a mountain. There we go. So again, this is actually being recorded the day of processing, and for the reason that usually is, not because I was just too tired, although that actually is part of it, but visiting my parents again. Like I say, if you're old and both your parents are still alive, visit them often. And I could only able to do it every month, but at least it's something. Alright, now we need to get up this way. Move the player. No, I don't want to place. I want to be jumping. Jumping! Yay! Imagine that. There we are at the top. Of course it's got to be useless buildings. Well, not here. Move 1 and 2. And then grab that bed. We are full. Yes, we are. Verification there. I'll just look around the village. You don't see anything that's really that important. The sun is not exactly in a position where, yeah, that's odd. Keep going. Keep going. Oh, shouldn't have done that. Well, better than the alternative. place. I think if I put the boat in the water, the boat should go in the water. Yep, one more. Yeah, I'm not liking what I'm seeing right now. I mean, if this keeps going, then that's fine. Good enough, I guess. And yeah, this comes to an end pretty much. Oh, one position too far. Well, or this. Place. Alright, we'll take some gain right now. Break. Jumping. So almost got them all. Time for another elevation change. Oh, get some tree help again. One down. Yep, break. A little more. There we go. Wow, this game stutters an awful lot. And this didn't update to the 1.20.20, which my Windows 10 did. And I'm seeing a video from IBX Toycat that your worlds are going to disappear and things are going to be gone, blah blah blah, which, well, that didn't happen to me. I noticed that my shortcut to play Minecraft Windows 10 no longer worked. So then I went into the launcher that the games come with, because you get both Java and Bedrock if you, and of course this has to go in the wrong direction. And it updated, and once it did, my shortcut to my Minecraft worlds no longer was working. So, I traced back, I just searched for Minecraft worlds in on my main hard drive, and did find them. Place. Made a brand new direct link to the Minecraft worlds to back them up. Had to report my skin. Somehow that disappeared. And now I cannot find the executable in which the Windows 10 version runs on. So I think they did away with that. And we're jumping. Now you have to use the launcher, which I find very inconvenient and slow. Whereas the direct link that I had, you double click on it and the game runs. So I don't think the executable is no longer a thing. It's now physically launched by the very slow and clunky game launcher. Which I gotta remember to shut that thing down once the game is loading, because it seems to be enough of a power drain that it's causing frame rate performance issues. Although the lag spikes that we're getting now, that you see here, are still prevalent, if not worse, in the new version, so I can only imagine how bad it's going to be on the phone. Although sometimes I've noticed when things were bad on Windows 10, they sometimes weren't on the phone. And I've also seen it go the other way. Oh, that was actually a pretty good run there, in spite of how crowded the forest was. Line it up so we can, again, when we're steering the boat, we know where it's going. Now, like I've always said, because you can hear the furnace going in the background, is one thing I don't like about the new setup is the digital thermometers. They tend to be a bit too accurate. So you set the temperature to whatever's comfortable and it goes there. And as soon as it gets to the bottom end of that very same degree that you set it to, it triggers again. Where the old mercury ones, granted they were not as accurate, but it left some headroom so that the equipment didn't have to turn on as often, thus would actually prolong the life of said equipment. So if I remember to do it, is once in the early morning and once during the afternoon, I will intentionally raise the thermostat a few degrees. And then once it reaches that point, bring it back to where it was. And I say I just do it once in the morning and once in the evening. So that so the equipment doesn't turn on as often, and therefore it will last a little bit longer. I wish I could figure out how to. I keep forgetting to do it. Is look up the model number of my digital thermostat and see if you can put headways in it. I know you can program it to, like most digital thermostats, you can program them to be a certain temperature, certain time of the day, have it turn off a certain time of the day, or I'd like to have the headways that it used to have, even if it's only 1 degree difference. If I can set it to every other degree that it kicks on, then I'm doubling the life of my equipment, because it doesn't have to turn on as often. I'm not liking what I'm seeing. I am especially not liking that it's way down here too. Well, the important thing is, if it's possible, alright, I see. Well, obviously you'll see this river, but I was looking further ahead and we can place the boat. Of course, just as I'm about to tap the board button, that's when it disappears. At this point, it ain't worth putting it back in. However, at this point it might be. Place. So again, I'm doing this on the day that I process the videos, which is Sunday. Because again, I visit my parents and usually come home too late to really want to do this. Alright, so that wasn't too bad. We were able to avoid the roof forest. Now we got a nice open ocean with some land on the side. Just coming closer. Less than 2,000 blocks away from the 70 percentile of completing the last 1,000,000 traversable blocks. And of course things are going to change a little bit once we get to that point, or close enough to it. And I'm sure, like pretty much almost every monumental point in the game, it'll be in the ocean, and this time that will not be any good. It will have to be on usable land. Best would be if there's a village. Or a plains biome, or anything with lots of animals, so we can get ready for the long trip and we can move the player instead of swinging swords. Yeah. And we don't want to go too much further that way. And move the player. Another giant pitfall. Yeah, birch forests aren't always good things. Nope, I'm not swinging swords right now. We're moving the player. See if we can grab that, just so we could have an extra one. Well, not exactly the right way, but it worked. Alright, I hear that stopping, so I'm gonna check on Watch Me Suck at Bowling, see if that processed. I'm gonna check the video and then there we go. Alright, now we're nice and safe. See you at dryer phase. We're back. Let's make this, and we did. Good. Still climbing up the side of this mountain if the game wants to play Climb the Mountain. Dryer phase now in effect. Place. There we go. And I think we're more or less at the top. Having to struggle is okay. Of course, we're jumping. Okay, micro jumping does not help. Do I want to know? That would have hurt. I think we would have been okay. Nice jump. Glad the sword was more important. So, why are we swinging swords? And move the player. Move the player. Player can move. Nice jump. Glad you didn't do any of that again. Same there. See, at least there you jumped. No, not this way. Alright, we need to be moving the player. We need to be moving the player. How about some moving of the player? Okay, we have a spot where we can... Nice jump. Glad the jump button, once again, did not decide to work. Alright, no way is working. We're going to move the player. Actually, we'll sleep here because it's getting dark. And bed. More of them. Yep. Those. And sleep. Move the player. Alright, which way is the better way? Back up a little bit here. And jump. Alright, missed the button. Break. Well, I guess the answer was sort of obvious. Sort of. We're almost at 70% of the way through the last million traversable blocks. And of course it happens in the ocean, although we did have a choice, maybe, of not being in the water, so that'll be fine. Looks like it's still going. I was going to say, let's see if we can stop on that point, but I found a village that's a little further back, so... How many beds do we need? 3. We're pressing X. Pressing. Okay, once again we missed the jump button, so... okay, never mind. Thought it was good. Going down a death hole. Useless building. Those happen an awful lot lately. I see a farmer over here. We'll... Actually, it wouldn't matter if I'm waiting to, you know, use up a drumstick to grab a piece of bread. It's not going to work. And we got one here. And we got our 3. And we get our trade. And we get out. A pointless jump there. Oh, 1 over. 88,609. So we're now less than 30% of the way remaining. Slightly less than 30% remaining. Traversable blocks, so, or ever so slightly past 70%. Under 300,000 to go. Hopefully we'll have a situation like that where reasonably close enough we have a village, or maybe grassy lands like this where we can make food. Another village, but that's a project village. Let's up. Yeah, we can move forward. There we go. All the houses look kind of... Okay, we can move. That actually wasn't too bad. We can move. Break. Tiny window. We failed to fit ourselves in it. Over here. that we unnecessary jump that somehow happened, but we were actually able to take advantage of it. Let's just pop that there, get out here. Well, that almost worked. Keep going. Yeah, we went in here too far. Not exactly 100% there. Oh, and the furnace got, it's cleaning. They never cleaned the sight glass. There was a little window that you could see into the furnace. You could see the flame, and it's all charred up at this point. Shall we? Or okay, yep, there's an opening. Move the player. Completely missed the jump button there. Stutter. Can we hit the 8,100,000 mark or the 8,100 kilometer block? off axis, but that's fine. We're going to have to go very likely extremely off in order to get to where we're going ultimately. All the avoidance is still not working to avoid this thing. So I'll go quite a bit off more axis just to go through the ocean. I mean, we've been more than 1,000 blocks off in the Z direction a couple of times. So I mean, yeah, 500's not out of the ordinary. Although then crossing the 512 will slightly complicate being able to move forward. Not a whole bunch, but it can. And we're crossed that line. I was going to say we're going to cross that line, but we already did. Nice jump. Yeah, slowly working our way back towards the pole. I mean, not the pole, the equator. I see it's open there, but it's... you know what? We'll go there. I think it's just this little island that we can turn right back. Ever so slowly chipping away at it. The terrain is not exactly cooperating with that. Not sure about that. Cool feature or possible death drop. Of course, people would say if you're dropping great distance in a boat, you're not going to die. Not 100% true. Maybe like 85% true. There are exact distances, I'm trying to say, in which if you fall in a boat, you will die. And big ocean helps. One, we're going further, faster, and heading towards the equator, which also helps. It's not good as there's no land yet. Then again, we'll keep going if it gets dark. Then when we can safely get on land, I saw that monument, such as over there. Yeah, let's go where we know there's land. And a place where we could restart if we had to. Which means, once again, hitting that 512 barrier there. I'm not willing to go out there and wind up putting myself in danger when we can safely go over here. And any second now, maybe. There we go. Back out we go. Well, it could have went a little further. Although I don't think that would have helped us any. I see coral, so we're in warmer territory. Maybe deserts. At least you can somewhat see something interesting under the ocean. Although if it were closer, we could easily see it better. And back to cold. Is it a thunderstorm or is it just rain? Because it doesn't work in the Bedrock edition doesn't work. Anything from a light, what should appear as a light rain shower to stormy conditions, which oddly enough is what I'm trying to go for, is considered a thunderstorm and monsters could spawn. We're halfway through the next 10,000 that we're aiming for, and the player. Micro jumping not helping. Too bad vines don't really help us. We just wind up. Brake. Imagine that. Pressing the brake button might be braking. Bit of climbing over here. Do the tree thing again, and nope, we're not placing blocks. We're jumping. Jump. Of course, the button didn't do its job. Why would it? We like to be jumping when the jump button is pressed. Jump! This is exactly what I don't like. is a slight land bridge here, and I mean very slight. Oh, that was a big hit. Got plenty of those. Oh, well, again, we're jumping. That's going nowhere. Anything helpful? Sky turning already? Yeah, it is. And lots of jumping. So if we break these, we can move this position and climb that one. And we can climb that one. There we go. Alright, I did choose to stop there because I wasn't sure what was coming up and I couldn't see it. See it there. Okay. Missing the jump button. That doesn't help us. Exactly as planned, but we did get around it. And nice jump. Definitely don't go there. And stopped there because I wasn't sure if that was a pit or just something else. There, that's a pit. That's a pit. I mean, they're tiny, but some are death drops that we don't even see until it's too late. Nice jump. Let go. Alright, I pressed it like 5 or 6 times and none of the jumps happened. Yeah, I did see a village. Need how many beds? 3. And move the player. Alright, so guy trades for 6 pieces of bread. It's only half a drumstick, but that makes it so we can get an even 6 and fill up the slot, which means we won't be needing any of that, which didn't matter. Over here. That was a poor jump on my part. That was a no jump, but then again, I missed the button on that. That would have hurt, but it wouldn't have been death. So we're 2,500 away, more or less, from the 8,100 kilometer block, 8.1 million. And again, we need some useful land in order to put down a bed. If we have to pillar off this stuff, we could, but it's best we don't. And we got some land there. Yeah, this is not the best of places. Good, we got our boat back. Oh, did we miss? It was a stretch, but we tried. And something's in the wrong position. Okay, that can go there. Let's back it up a little bit. No, I don't want to go that way. And we can jump instead of swinging swords. That actually was something I wanted to do. I somehow jumped there. Not exactly sure how, but I did. That was just an inadvertent tap where the jump button was. Time I see sand, I'm hoping it's a desert, not a beach to something else. But it tends to be a beach for something else. Hey, there's a portal. We could reclaim some golden apples that we've used. I mean, we still got a ton of them. First, let's go on the other side and look for the thing here. Nothing. And we'll go back around it. let's just... Well, yeah, I'm not going through hell and high water, being that we have plenty of... We got plenty of golden apples. If we were down to a handful, then I would tower up and go for that block of gold. I'm not gonna. $800 to go for the 8100. So close. Had a pretty good run going there. And not so much there. Yeah, that jump was unnecessary. And somehow we jumped over there. I stopped because I wanted to see which way is probably best. This way it works too. Okay, sports swinging for reasons unknown. And we are at less than 100 blocks. We've been using up all. Okay, next time. Rid of the junk. Yeah, let's see. Jump, I guess it was a good thing that it didn't that time. Hold on, something don't sound right. I'm gonna come right back. Alright, two things. I guess the dryer is resonating in some weird way, so it almost sounds like the furnace trying to kick on. Like the pump is pumping, but the furnace ain't triggering. But it was just the dryer making some weird harmonic. And how about keep going? And the other thing was that when I went to check, I didn't notice that we just squeaked over the 8,100 kilometer block. So we're good on that front too. Nice jump. How about we jump when the magic jump button's pressed? You know what I think? The way things are at this point, this would probably be a better place to start. Let's make a white one and a yellow one just to change it up a little bit. The dark green of the swamp just makes everything look much darker than what it really is. Alright. Next up. Continuing on. Well, we almost made it. That was okay. That was actually pretty good. I like the older swamps better. I mean, this is getting a little much. Mangroves, well, those are kind of a hit and miss. Fortunately, it does not suffer from the half-light rule that the jungles and the roof forest have. And that monsters will not spawn. Monsters will not spawn unless the light level is 0, which until nighttime doesn't happen naturally. That is, the thick cover of the mangroves is not enough to do that. Whereas in the other two biomes, a light level of 7 or less is enough to trigger. No. There we go. Oh. Didn't know we were going to be able to go through that. Yeah, keep going. A little hard. You can do it. Not what we're going for. Yeah, no way through here. Turn. I tried to jump through that, and, well, of course it didn't work. Oh, can get through that, alright. Thought that might have been a vine I could have went through. Got all the junk out. Well, that pit of benign. Nice jump. Very important jump that it didn't make. was a river that I completely missed, that would have made that a bit easier. Brake. That was a decent jump. Brake. 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 Wow, the game is incredibly non-cooperative. I don't know why it's trying to aim for something I'm not actually aiming towards. Jumping. Nice jump. Oh, we can't be there. That's better. And we're getting dark, so place the bed over here. Trying to get somewhere. Not ducking. Got to the top, only that we need to come back down again. We're not swinging swords, we're trying to move the player. Missed. To be moving now. Of course, everything's got to be in the wrong position. Going down quite a bit. Jumping. This way. Player can move. I'd like to move the player. Wonder what that would be like. Come on, move. Nice jump. Wow. We're going to be doing a big climb here. How about the sword? The button I was pressing. Move the player. what I was looking for, but hey, we got out of a mess. That's all that matters. Move. No. Okay, this mangrove is not fun. How about we move the player? How about we move the player? Thank goodness for the vine. Can we sneak through? Yes, we can. Can we move? I guess over here. Yep, we're at this hole. You had this goal. Screw you, you've gone there. That's all you're getting. Break. Break. Let me break. How about not micro jumping? That would be better. Break. Of course, that's what happens, because it would be wrong if the correct answer was given. Break. Oh, didn't want to jump there. First one, yes. Second time, no. Oh, dark spot. Perfect. Move the player. Jumping. How about not micro jumping, please? How about doing the job instead? Jumping. That was deeper than I thought. I see water. Jumping. We can jump when we press the jump button now. All right, we got out of that mess. Jumping. I pressed it 3 times. Should have probably jumped at that point. Alright, it's getting a little dark, so come out to the lighter side and dispose of the junk. Sleeps do we have? All right, we did that 1, 2 more. Oh, spider. I'd like to not have jungle now. Perfect. Jumping. Breaking. Just in case. Boat, chest boat, put that over there, make some sticks, of course we'll do that, over here, like that, that'll will fall in the correct position as well. Of course, it has to be a witch where there's food, because that would be wrong if we had anything go the right way. Now, would it? Or this way? Break. That was not supposed to happen like that. Oh, I don't want to break under my feet. How about over where I'm pointing? That and that. Put that there. That can go. Yeah, that can go there. No, that can go there. This can go there. I'd like to get the food, but I can't. Place, 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 place. Perhaps I'm placing the boat. Should probably try that next time. Or is there an exit from this biome? Needs to be an exit from this biome. The player. Pressing. No, that was close. You know what we could have are some sheep. We could have cows. Oh, it's food. Correct thing in the bar. Alright. We could use white sheep. Where are all the animals? When you need them, they're not around. We're jumping. Where are the sheep? We need sheep. We could use a village. That could be a good thing too. I see an exit. We're moving the player. We're moving the player. Once again, we're going way off axis because we kind of have to. Alright, let's... move. If they all drop wool, which they did, good for us. Let's see. We're jumping. Okay, over here. We're gonna have to knock down some of these trees as well. We have how many? 4. Oh, we have enough to make a bed. And why are we not running the stick? Alright, let's just make, not where I wanted to put it, but right now we have choices are things we don't have. We put this over here. Good. It's turning dark, so place a bed here and sleep. What? What is hitting me? Go. 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 I think it might have been a skeleton. I was close enough. I heard a... sounded like, you know, when their shots vibrate. Move. Move. How about stick? Let's just throw that there right now. I want to get... Woodland Mansion, that's the third one I've seen, but we can't fight those things. Player can... Alright, me. Alright. This needs to shift positions. How many white wool do we have? We need one more white sheep, and we will be good for another bed. How about we move the player a little more, a little too far. We could use that. player. We need a sheep. Another white sheep. Need one more white sheep. This is not a good spot. Jumping. Did I see one? No. I'm stopping here now and then because I need to see if there's sheep. Removing the player. Replacing. That's not really going anywhere. That's the problem, is I have to have the volume really low, or else you'll go deaf. And I'm glad got nothing. No, we don't need to be placing. We need to be getting. Let's just make what we got here. It's better than nothing. It would be nice to have another sheep. Wrong colors. If we could make Franken beds like we used to, it wouldn't matter. There's the sheep we need. Move the player. There it is. And we gotta fix this. Make this, that. Okay, position. At least we're somewhat getting somewhere. See a cow. See cows. We could make leather boots. We can move the player forward when we press the forward play button. Too far. Can we just go in the position we're looking for, please? Thank you. Our boat. Yes, we did. We're switching. Perhaps when I press the buttons to switch things, we should be switching. Battery of 15%. Oh, another sheep. Not enough for yet another bed, but move the player. Move the player. Trying to move the player. Need to be moving the player. Well, we kinda rebuilt. Move the player. We are making progress, but we're not making the progress I would like. Over here. Alright, we need to switch some positions. Good enough. Seriously, it's either jungle or... We don't need jungle right now. Jungle bad. Jungle where problems happen. Move. Jumping. Perhaps if the game did what it was supposed to, we're moving the player. Some of the problems wouldn't be a problem. And this cow will just... Alright, we're moving the player. Why did we not take the stick? Anyway, yeah, we're not going to be able to continue right now. 8,103,412. This is one way. Georgia551 saying, hope you enjoyed, and have a good one.